Our destination is a place and it's a journey. It's both. It's both a place and a journey. And we're going to talk about that. Previously, we saw that we have a destination, our citizenship is in heaven. And so how do we deal with that in normal life? And here's my suggestion. And this is like the easiest thing to do, that we forget this. Let's look at Jesus and see what he did. Because Jesus is the roadmap, right? He's the example for us. He's not only our leader, but he's our example. So let's look what Jesus did. Let's look at John chapter 3. You guys know I love John chapter 3. We're not going to look at the first part like I usually do. We're going to look at verses 10 to 13.
Jesus answered and said to him, "Are you the teacher of Israel, and do you not know these things? Most assuredly I say to you, we speak what we know and testify what we have seen, and you do not receive our witness. If I have told you earthly things you do not believe, how will you believe if I tell you heavenly things? Now, no one has ascended to heaven, but he who has come down from heaven, that is the Son of Man who is in heaven."
So look at verse 13. Verse 13 is like a gold mine. Here's what Jesus says. No one has ascended to heaven, but he who came down from heaven, that is the Son of Man, who is in heaven. So Jesus is a spiritual immigrant. He immigrated to earth.
Yeah.
Think about this. He came from heaven, he immigrated to earth, and while he's on earth, he's still in heaven. That's what he says. That's exactly what this says. Let me read it to you again. But I'm going to say it, so before I read it, so you hear. Jesus is saying that he's in heaven and on earth at the same time. Okay? That's what he's saying. Okay, so listen. No one has ascended to heaven, but he who came down from heaven, that is the Son of Man, who is in heaven. It's an astounding passage, and it's easy to miss, that Jesus is saying, I immigrated from heaven to earth, and I'm still in heaven.
And on earth.
And on earth. He's saying, I'm existing in both realms simultaneously. Before, I only existed in the spirit realm. But now I've immigrated down to earth. I've come down to earth. And now I'm on earth. I came down, but I'm also in heaven. Okay? So, we got to wrap our minds around it. But for us, Jesus is telling us something that we've been learning ourselves. That while we're living on earth, we're also existing in the spirit realm. We exist in the physical realm and the spirit realm simultaneously. And in the Bible, when they say the physical realm, they'll say on the world or on earth. In the world or on earth. When they say the spiritual realm, they'll say in the spirit or in heaven. Okay? So Jesus is basically saying to us what we're experiencing. We're experiencing life in the physical realm and the spiritual realm simultaneously. Jesus is telling Nicodemus, this is what he has done. He's telling him that. Okay? So for us, you know, the idea that Jesus came down, you know, when Jesus was born, he came down from heaven to earth, but he never left heaven. Because he said, the Son, no one but the Son of Man who came down, who is in heaven. So he's simultaneously existing in both places. Now, for people that think linearly, this is a mind blower, but for us it's not so hard because we know that Jesus said, I only do what I see the Father doing. He has to see what the Father's doing in the spirit realm. I only say what I hear the Father say. He has to hear what the Father's saying in the spirit realm. So he's existing in the spirit realm. At the same time, he's existing in the physical realm. that Jesus comes out and just says it. And it's good for us that he did, because we don't, we're not going to get confused, or somebody comes and says, oh, you're just making all this stuff up. You say, well, but this is what Jesus said he did. And we're supposed to become like him. So it's important for us to see that. Jesus immigrated from heaven to earth in order to show us a way to heaven. He could show us that way because even though he immigrated from heaven to earth, he never left his home. He never left his awareness. He never lost his awareness in the spirit realm. Okay? Look,
Pastor, there's a passage in the Bible I never understood what it meant, but I memorized it, and it was Acts 2:34-35. It said, "For David did not ascend to heaven, but he himself says, the Lord says to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I make your enemies a footstool for your feet." So that's what you're saying right there. But I kept that verse and I memorized it, but I didn't understand what it meant. But for some reason, I memorized it, but I didn't know what I was thinking.
yeah.
And I kept looking at that. I was thinking, I don't understand what this means, but maybe someday I will. So I guess this was the day.
It's a good day. Today's a good day. Let's look at Matthew chapter 4, verses 19 to 25. So Jesus is an immigrant to earth. He comes to earth, he does a whole bunch of stuff, but while he's in earth, he interacts with his disciples, and he interacts with them in a particular way. Okay, so I want this passage will help us understand how Jesus interacts with his disciples. Okay, so Jesus is an immigrant. The people that are going to follow him are going to become immigrants, right? The believers are going to become immigrants. Okay, Jesus is an immigrant from earth to heaven, from heaven to earth, back to heaven. The rest of them start on the earth. Let's see what this says. Matthew 4, 19 to 25. Yeah, if you're there, read it. Got it?
And he said unto them, follow me, and I will make you fishers of men. And they straightway left their nets to follow him. And going on from thence, he saw other two brethren, James, the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, in ship with Zebedee, their father, mending their nets, and he called them. And they immediately left the ship and their father and followed him. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in the synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, healing all manner of sickness, all manner of disease among the people. And his fame went throughout all Syria. And they brought unto him all sick people that were taken with divers diseases and torments, and those which were possessed with devils, and those which were lunatic, and those that had the palsy, and he healed them. And there followed him great multitudes of people from Galilee, and from Decapolis, and from Jerusalem, and from Judea, and from beyond Jordan.
Okay, so if you look at this, and somebody asks you, based just on this passage, was Jesus' model a journey or a destination? What would you say?
Was Jesus' what?
Model.
Model. That was the word.
Was his model a journey or a destination? What would you get from this? So what did Jesus say to his disciples? Did he say, I want you to build a bunch, I want you to go to Jerusalem and build a special area in the temple, and I'll meet you there. I want you to build something up on something, and I'll meet you there. What did he say? When he approached his disciples, what did he say to them? Follow me. So it's a journey, right?
Journey, yes.
You follow someone on a journey.
Yes.
You meet someone at a destination, but you follow someone on a journey. So Jesus' model for his disciples was this journey. Follow me. And all of it, and not only his disciples, but great multitudes followed him all over the place. People were following him everywhere. He didn't just keep stopping and he didn't build. I mean, in modern day, Jesus would have bought 25 acres and built a big temple or built a big shrine to himself, and then people would just come to his shrine. He could just pray for him. Save him a lot of time.
Well, he would have bought the house where he was born and made that a shrine.
He could have done that. Yeah, he could have done that. Or he could have walked into the temple after he cleared out all the money changers and just kind of set up a shop there. And did all the healing and everything there. But that's not what he did, because he's going around to where the people are. Number one, he's going to where the common people are, and he's on a journey with his disciples. Because when you're on a journey, you spend time with each other, right? You're traveling together. And I can imagine, I mean, I would be willing to bet if I was able to go back in time and follow Jesus for 3 years, I bet I'd learn more from the follow me experiences in the dialogue and the talking from him and watching him pray than I would from all of the big events. We have the big events, the feeding of 5,000, we have all those big events, and we have a few of the little things where Jesus said, what do people say I am? Who do people say I am? I mean, those are the kind of little side conversations that were probably constantly happening between Jesus and the disciples as they were walking along the way with each other, as they were just following him. So Jesus sets up, first we see that Jesus is an immigrant, and then his model for these immigrants is to follow him, to walk with him, to go with him, to go where he goes. And I think that's, now we're going to see the setup. So Jesus is kind of letting him know, we're on a journey. You're on this journey with me personally.
Yeah.
I'm your guide. I'm taking you on this journey. Okay? Turn over to Matthew 6. Read verse 31 and 32.
I see a word here that I just want to emphasize right before we
Okay.
leave this past scripture. He said, my Bible says, come after me and I will make you fishers of men.
Okay.
Not, well, I see the me and the I see the pronouns, and he's not saying, come after me and you will become fishers of men. My interpretation says, I will make you.
Yes. Yeah. It's a direct
Yes.
result of their personal interaction with him.
I like that.
Yeah, that's good.
The I messages. Okay, I'm sorry. Where did
No, that's all right. Matthew 6, 31 to 33.
Do not be anxious then, saying, what shall we eat, or what shall we drink, or with what shall we clothe ourselves? For all these things the Gentiles eagerly seek. For your heavenly Father knows that you need all these things.
One more. 33.
But seek first his kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things shall be added to you.
Okay, so Jesus is, he's mixing now the journey and the destination, but he's mixing them in real time. This is real important, okay? Because he's saying, don't worry about food, don't worry about this stuff. The Lord's going to take care of you. And then he says, seek first the kingdom, seek first the spirit realm, the kingdom of God, and all this stuff will be added to you. Okay, he's not saying, put your hope in a heaven that you won't get to for 50 years, and life will be good now. That's not what he's saying. Even though many people might read it that way. He's telling them, seek. Yep. Seek first the kingdom of God. Seek it now, and this stuff will be added. Seek it first, not seek it later. It's real important. He's not saying don't look to go to heaven sometime when you die. He's saying seek heaven now. Seek first the kingdom of heaven. Seek it now. And then all of these physical things, all this physical realm stuff will be added to you.